Good morning and welcome. Welcome to our webinar to help you or to introduce our one-year master program in water and sustainable development. If you're logged into Facebook and YouTube at this time, you're able to ask questions by using the chat. You can ask all sorts of questions. They can be about the setup of the program. You can ask questions about how to register for it or anything else that pertains to this master program. So let me start by introducing myself. I'm Laura Kwak. I work in the communication office of IHE Delft, and I will be your webinar host today. My colleague Ewout Kolk, also from the communication office, is making sure that everything runs smoothly behind the scenes. So thanks very much for that, Ewout. He will be monitoring the chat and making sure that the most frequently asked questions get through to your panel, who will be able to answer it. Please feel free to already share any questions that you might have now, and we will cover them later on in the show. Also, if you would like to, you can introduce yourself and let us know where you're watching from, because we always like to know that we have viewers from all over the globe. So I will start up this show together with Charlotte, who is our Vice Rector for Academic and Student Affairs, and also a Professor of Hydraulic Engineering for Land and Water Development. So let me invite her to the show. Welcome, Charlotte. Glad you could make it.
Good morning, Laura. Yeah.
Good morning. So I thought it would be fun to have a little chat just before we start, and maybe to cover some of the most frequently asked things about studying at IHE. Could you maybe mention a couple of top reasons for studying at IHE or studying in Delft?
There are many, but one of the really, if you are passionate about water and if you really want to contribute to water challenges, I think IHE is a great place to start. Also, you already kind of alluded to it, right? And I see in the chat where people are all coming from. So we are really an international organization. And that's great. I mean, you will be in the classroom with, maybe 10, 15 different nationalities and people from all over the place. So that gives really an added value to the of course, the top education that we provide.
Yes, and I working in the communication office, I always notice this when I'm having lunch or when I'm grabbing coffee, because there's all these languages around me and lots of people meeting each other from across the globe. It's so much fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it is really it gives really a nice atmosphere to have so many nationalities and different backgrounds from under one roof.
Yeah, so talking about that indeed, I think what's pretty special about IHE is that we have all sorts of water-related subjects being taught there under the same roof. Could you speak a little bit about how that impacts the education that you get?
Yes, as we all know, I mean, water problems are never tackled or are never falling neatly in one discipline. I mean, there's always different disciplines concerned. If you're talking about floods or droughts or coastal defense or drinking water, there's always a different set of disciplines are involved, and so. What we do is we mix people together from different backgrounds working on the same water challenges. So we really strive for interdisciplinarity and multidisciplinarity. So even if you work in your own discipline, it's of course very good to see from others how they approach the very same problem. And I think that really enriches the experience of learning together.
Yeah, you point out something interesting, and that is that most of our students that come in are mid-career professionals. So this also sort of changes the way that you learn, because I think people also learn from each other. Could you maybe elaborate a little bit on that as well?
Yeah, so indeed, most of the people coming in for study here in IHE, they have like 3-4 years of working experience, some a bit longer, some a bit shorter. But of course, they can speak from their own experience, their own professional experience. So if we explain some theory or some components or methodologies, that people can immediately translate that to their own experience, professional experience, and share that, of course, in the classroom, because everyone comes from a different experience, a different. So there's a lot of learning from each other. And one of the comments we get is next to a great education, people say, well, one of the most valuable assets that they take away from Delft is actually a network of alumni, a professional network of people whom they got to know in Delft, and they can later, in their further career, they can still kind of exchange experiences, and being part of a network of international water experts, of course, is very important.
Yeah. And I think besides just learning from each other, I think there's also the lecturing colleagues at IHE. Quite an important part, I think, of the learning experience.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a little bit about them?
Well, I mean, many of them are actually experts in their field, or actually all of them are experts in the field, but some of them are really well known. Actually, as we speak, I mean, maybe you've also heard, Laura, that even last week we had someone who got a life award of. What's a life award for coastal modeling?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that kind of, that in international, right? Not from us, but from another organization who thought that this person was so well. His life work was so outstanding that he got an award from them, and it's actually quite regular that our teachers get awards for their research that they do. Or for the publications that they make. So really they are, experts in their field. And,
yes,
and also
working.
We have connections to other universities as well. So yeah, there's a lot of knowledge here.
And I think besides the regular lecturing colleagues, indeed, working in comms, I do hear about all these prizes because we add them to our website every once in a while, and it happens on quite a regular basis. I think other than the people working at IHE, we also have lecturers coming in from the fields.
Yeah.
Could you talk about why we choose to do this and how it enriches the experience?
Yeah, so indeed we have our regular lecturers, but a good chunk of or at a regular basis there's also guest lecturers, and those guest lecturers they can come from all over the world, and they come from different areas, but they bring really in field experience and or a different perspective from a different angle. And so yeah, that or from the Dutch water sector. We also have guest lecturers coming in from the Dutch water sector as well. So yeah, they bring in a different perspective. They bring in working experience, and so yeah, that really enriches the teaching.
Okay, thanks. And last but not least, Delft, the city that students will come to study. Could you share a little bit about what that means for their experience?
Well, Delft is a relatively small town in the Netherlands, but it's also an old historic town. So it's actually also a touristy town. So there's a lot of life, and of course it's a student town. So there's because we have, of course, the TU Delft and some other schools in Delft. So there's a lot of young people, young students, and of course there's a lot of terraces and bars and restaurants and nightlife, etc. So and fortunately, like yesterday, it started opening up after Corona. We have this slowly the nightlife and the bars, restaurants are opening again. So, and summer is coming. So the good season is coming again. And yeah, that really, I mean, of course, I mean, studying is good, but of course, if you don't have a break every now and then, your study is also not very effective. So indeed, there is a lot of things to be done. There's a lot of sports, activities, movies, and so yeah, it's a small but a very lively town. And it's
I think,
safe.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to
It's
mention, and
yeah,
probably nice to mention as well,
yeah,
is it's very centrally located in the
yeah,
Netherlands, and the train connections are perfect. So it's really easy to hop onto a train and explore the rest of the Netherlands in the weekends or on vacations. And also within Europe, of course, Europe is quite well connected. So the trains from the Netherlands go into Germany, France, and beyond. So
yeah.
it's really a nice starting point to explore. So
Absolutely, indeed.
yes, any final words for our students who are thinking about joining this new master program?
Well, yeah, if you're passionate about water and water challenges, and if you really want to do something for your country or for your the neighborhood you're coming from, in terms of water, I think Delft is a really great place. And as I said, I mean, what I most like about IHE Delft, which many other universities don't have, that is really the international component of it. I mean, it's really fantastic to see so many people passionate about water under one roof. So I think it's a great experience to do the studies at IHE Delft. It's a
Okay,
pity I
Charlotte.
couldn't do it, but yes, it's really a nice place.
Well, thank you very much for opening this webinar with me, and have fun with the rest of your day.
Thank you, and you
Okay,
too. I hope you have a
thank
good
you.
seminar.
Yes, thank
Right.
you.
Bye bye. Bye
Bye,
bye
Charlotte.
bye.
So next up on our program is our professor of hydrology, Graham Hewitt. He made a short video to discuss the ins and outs of the new master program. So I would like to share that with you just now. After that finishes, I will bring up the panel consisting of Ineke Melis, who's our Senior Fellowship and Admission Officer, and Laszlo Heide, who's our Senior Lecturer in Irrigation Engineering. But more importantly for this webinar, he's also the Program Manager of the MSc program in Water and Sustainable Development. But we'll get to that later. First, next up is the video by Professor Jewett.
Water is our most important resource. From its role as a life-sustaining liquid to its cultural and spiritual values, water has and always will be intricately enmeshed with humans and the society's environment in which we live. Over the past 60+ years, IHE Delft Institute for Water Education has provided education and training programs on different aspects of water. Since our inception as a technical institute dealing almost exclusively with floods, through to the inclusion of integrated water resources management and aspects of management and governance in our programs. And now, in the time of sustainable development goals and the imperatives of addressing issues associated with climate change, IHE Delft remains a leading institution globally when it comes to delivering relevant and topical education programs. Our extensive alumni network across the world bears testament to this. Water is a big deal on the global agenda, and I'm sure in your country too. So the interest in studying water and its role in sustainable development is really at an all-time high. And of course, associated with this is that people from different backgrounds and with different interests become interested in water and have different entry points in which they would like to study water. So as society evolves, so do we at IHE, and that provides the impetus for a brand new master's program, the Master of Science in Water and Sustainable Development. My name is Graham Jewett. I am Professor of Hydrology and Vice Chair of the committee which has been developing our new Master of Science. In this short video, I'd like to explain some of the key elements which form the new degree structure at IHE Delft and the options that you have to join us. The program is focused on managers and practitioners and aims to provide skills to support you in the job that you will do when you return home. Very importantly, this will take only 1 year to complete. It is still a fully fledged MSc accredited by the Dutch MVO That's the organization responsible for accreditation of education programs here in the Netherlands. Of course, being a one-year program also means that hard work is expected from the students. But as our program evolves, so do our education approaches. And we believe that we have created a truly innovative education program that will be achievable in 12 months. That program kicks off in 2022, and we are welcoming applications now. At IHE, we fully recognize that the nature of water-related problems and development options needs an interdisciplinary approach. So while we retain our disciplinary strength in the new program, we also provide training for the more general scientists and many opportunities for interdisciplinary collaboration, such as specific weeks in which students from all disciplines interact, and fieldwork and group projects. In fact, this philosophy of interdisciplinarity underpins the program. We've really looked at the structure and content of the new degree and thought carefully about the skills and topics that are going to support water and sustainable development in the future. So you will see that core components like hydrology, hydraulics, environmental sciences, wastewater treatment, sanitation, governance and management, and others are there, but have had a refresh to gear them towards the future. This translates into 4 clear tracks which address these major water challenges. Water, food and energy, water hazards, risks and climate, water and health, and water resources and ecosystem health. Let's now look at the specifics of the program. It has been designed to give you some choice about the topics you study, so when you apply, you begin by choosing one of 4 tracks and a profile in that track. These profiles are engineering and hydrology, management and governance, environment, sanitation, and digital innovation, something we see as a big topic for the future. So here are 2 examples. You have a background in civil engineering and you wish to explore the linkages between drainage and sewerage and treatment processes and technologies and their planning and management, including the financing of water treatment plants. So this profile designed in the water and health track will prepare you for this. Or you have a background in environmental sciences and agriculture, and you are interested in developing sustainable water resources management solutions with a focus on ecosystems which produce food for people. So think about rice from wetlands or aquaculture in a lake. You could then follow an environmental profile within the water resources and ecosystem health or the water, food and energy tracks. So these are only 2 examples, and since everyone has different requirements and different interests, we also recognize that the nature of water and the people who engage with water don't always follow strict profiles. So there's also an opportunity for you to build your own profile. Now, this is something which is done in discussion with your coach, which is another innovation in the new MSc program. Coaches are there to support and guide you as you move through the program. They make sure that you're comfortable with the choices of your modules, or they suggest sensible alternatives. Then, of course, it wouldn't be a Master of Science without a research component. Now, most likely you will start thinking about your research thesis after about 3 months into the program, maybe for some a bit before that. Once again, your coach will assist you to make the best choice of topic for your career goals. You may want to co-design a topic with your employer, or you could choose a subject which addresses a specific need of your country. Or perhaps you want to focus on an issue with a view to working in the development field in the future. IHE Delft is quite a small institute, but we have a very large reputation. At IHE, you will get to know students and staff from all over the world, and you will hear about the water challenges and experiences that they bring. This also means that you will get to know people from many other disciplines and learn from them and their experiences. Our alumni tell us that the highlights of their time at IHE are the field trips, both in and outside of the Netherlands, life in Delft, which is a very safe and friendly city, the different cultural evenings and festive events organized by staff and students, and making friends for life from all over the world. The alumni of IHE make up one of the largest water networks in the world. There are now more than 23,000 former students, most of them still working in water or related fields. So, we invite you to join the MSc program, graduate from the MSc program, and join that extensive network of our alumni.
So I hope that the video by Professor Jewett cleared up some things, and I'm sure that it also made you think of many of the questions that you want to ask. So please do continue to share these. I see a lot coming up in the chat already, but please do continue. I will bring on screen now my two colleagues, Ineke Melis and Laszlo Heide, like I said before. So welcome Ineke and, oh, wrong person, and welcome Laszlo.
Hello, everybody.
Good morning, and glad you could join me. There's already quite a few questions coming in. Maybe one of the ones to start off with is, let me see, I had a good one that would be good to kick it off. Well, a quick one from me that I can answer quite quickly. If there will be access to a recording of this webinar, yes, it will be recorded both on YouTube and Facebook, so you can always refer to it. Another one that I did see, which is maybe a little bit more difficult, is from Amenti Menga from Ethiopia. And she thinks this MSc course is really interesting, but the entry requirements are a little complicated. So maybe, Ineke, could you walk us through the registration process, please?
Yes. To start with, it's good to prepare yourself very well. So there's a lot of information about the program on the website. So read carefully about the program and what it is about with the various tracks and profiles. And then also on the website, the application, the requirements and procedure are explained there in detail. So also read this carefully before you start your application. Then there is a link where you can apply, and it will be indicated which documents you need. So prepare them all in advance. And well, then you have to create a user account. And then you will first have to fill in an application form with all your personal data, prior education and work experience. And then you can select the study program, and you can indicate your preferred track and profile. And in the application, you will be requested to answer 5 motivation questions. So it's also good to prepare yourself well. And then you can submit your application, and you will be informed within around 4 weeks about the outcome.
Okay, thanks a lot. And one of the things, there's some questions coming in about funding and costs. Could you maybe talk a little bit about the scholarships that are actually currently open? And I think many of the deadlines are also coming up.
Yes, indeed, there are many upcoming deadlines. One of the main scholarships we have at this moment is the OKP. It's Orange Knowledge Program, and the deadline of application is the 15th of March. You have first to check if you are from a country which is eligible for the OKP, and then also check if you meet the requirements for it, which means that you need to be employed, and your employer has to state that they support your application, why it's important you do this study, and they also have to confirm that they continue paying your scholarship. And also for certain countries, government statement is required. All this information is on the website. So if you think that you are eligible, then first you have to apply for academic admission with IHE if you haven't done that yet. And thereafter you can submit your application for the OKP. Then another one is the other Rotary scholarships. These are available for the tracks water and health and water resources and ecosystem health. And the deadline of that is the 15th of April. And if you want to apply for that, you have to contact a local Rotarian in your country, because they have to support your application. And together with the local Rotarian, you have to fill in the application form for it. And then there are various scholarships for students from Sahel countries, MENA countries, and SIDS countries. You can check the requirements on the website, and deadline is the 1st of May. And then another scholarship is the Joint Japan World Bank Scholarship Program. It's for most countries, it's open. It is available, but the application has not yet opened. It will open soon, and then the deadline will be the 27th of May. They require that applicants have quite some work experience, but it's good if you just go to the website and read all the information there. And then, of course, there are still more scholarships, but all these are the main scholarships. But then there are also other scholarships mentioned on the website, and you have to check if you are eligible. That's for certain countries or certain groups of students, certain programs. And then, of course, you can also consider to pay the fees to cover the cost yourself. So you may talk to your employer and search yourself on internet, because this is just what we from IHE have available, but there are much more opportunities. But all applicants are strongly requested to also search themselves for opportunities, and if their employer can pay or they can pay themselves.
Yes, thanks very much, Ineke. And also, I can't stress it enough, I think, that please apply to IHE first, even before you find any scholarships, because all of the scholarships require it, that you are accepted into IHE. So please make sure that you apply to IHE. And also, I think you've said this in the past, but if scholarships suddenly pop up, new scholarships, we will contact those people that have applied. That might be possible to go for that certain scholarship.
Yeah,
so,
indeed. Yeah, just submit your application if you're interested in the program and you have checked the requirements. Then just submit your application, because if you don't find anything and something comes up, we'll contact those applicants. It's always good to apply.
Yeah. Okay, Laszlo, I have a question for you. Could you maybe explain a little bit about what happens before you come to IHE? I heard, Graham, you had mentioned the coaches, for example, but could you maybe walk us through it?
It's a very good question, Laura. Actually, this is one of the key features of our new program, the coaching setup. If you could share the slide, what I have set now, that was also shown by Graham Jewett before. And here you can also see that each student is assigned a coach, and the coaches are supporting the students in setting own learning goals, and also assesses progress, and building of portfolio is also helped by the coaches towards the students. Now, what you also see on this slide is actually an important thing, that the portfolio and skills development is also part of the program. So even before you arrive to IHE, when, after the academic admission, of course, as it was discussed before, you can apply for scholarships. And when the scholarships are also arranged, or any other financial arrangement is made for your studies, then you are so-called financially admitted as well. And when the students are also financially admitted, they will be linked to those coaches from IHE, who will take contact with them and will start to discuss the personal goals of each and every student. Well, I have seen also in the chat that there were some questions that can we choose from the same track, different profile modules and so on. So that's exactly the role of the coaches and the students, of course, to work it together out that what will be the personal study trajectory of one student. And that will start basically when you are already financially admitted. And then all kinds of discussions can be made in which direction you would like to go, what is your final goal in your life, in your professional life later on, and so on. And also at the same time, but all along your studies, you will also develop a so-called portfolio. This is a personal portfolio, which includes all these kind of goals and how you feel that you are on track towards your goals.
Okay,
so
thanks.
that's basically the basic idea of the coaching going on all along.
And just to jump into that, I think there's quite a few questions in the chat asked by different people whether they can follow this program online.
Well, not really. So this is a Delft-based program, and also different elements of the module and so on. That is also important to be together with the other students. So this program is not developed and not planned for online education. However, at IHE, that's another thing that let me just mention that there are several online programs. That's another setup, completely different one. There are several online programs, several short courses, which some of them are also available online and so on. But when we are talking about the Water and Sustainable Development Master Program, that is Delft-based study.
Yes, thank you, Laszlo. And I think my colleague Ewout will be able to share in the chat the link to more information about the online courses for all of you interested in doing that. Yes, I think actually quite a few questions coming up are also about modules, mixed weeks. Laszlo, could you maybe tell us a little bit about that?
Well, referring back again to the slide, what we see now, that the portfolio and the skills development. So there are the thematic tracks and there are the disciplinary profiles. In between those modules, which belong to one of the tracks, one of the profiles, the track modules, in between those, there are the so-called mixed weeks. And you can also see them on the slide. So after two modules, actually, there is a mixed week. The mixed weeks are aiming, I would say three different things. One of them is having the examination of the previous two modules. Then there are some days also spent on skill development, and those are transferable skills, just to mention a few: guided self-study, critical thinking, critical and writing also, scientific writing, these kind of things, presentation skills. Those are coming up in the mixed weeks, theoretically. And in the following two modules, those will be also practiced. So during the studies, all these transferable skills will be used during the modules, during your studies, and you have to develop yourself in practicing those. The third element of the mixed weeks is having the contact with your coaches and working further on your portfolio development, personal goals, and so on. So these are the three elements of the mixed weeks.
Okay, thanks very much, Laszlo. And I think the next question is good for Ineke. And maybe, Ineke, could you talk a little bit about the requirements for the level of English? And I see questions coming in. Why is it necessary for this country and not necessary for that country? And what kind of level of English is required for studying at IHE?
Yes, we have certain English tests which we accept, and that's all mentioned on the website. And there are a number of countries for which we do not require an English test. They're also mentioned on the website. So if you belong to one of those countries, a national from it, then you do not have to submit an English language test. for all other countries do have to submit an English language test. And some students may say my higher education was in English, but then still the experience of IHE is that from those countries for which we require the test, that we did not have a good experience. We got this feedback from our academic staff. So that's why for those countries which are not on the list of exempted countries, we do require the English language test. And so for the IELTS test, then the score is the required score is the total 6, and the minimum score for writing should also be 6. And then for the TOEFL test, we require the score of 80. There's now for the TOEFL test also the IBT home edition, because some applicants say we can't do the test in our country, but please check at the TOEFL website if you can do the home edition test, because that's also acceptable. So these are the main tests that we accept. And yeah, you may have many years of work experience or think your English is very good, but we really need this as a proof then. And that's just because of the many years of experience we have, this list is composed.
So thank you, Ineke. I think with that answer, you answered quite a lot of questions that were asked. So hopefully everyone can find their way to the English tests if they require it for your country. Let me see what else, because there's quite a lot of questions that we can bundle up. Maybe work experience, Ineke, is it a requirement to, nice timing, Ewout, is work experience a requirement of being able to study at IHE, or?
No, it's just an asset. It's not a strict requirement. If you have, we have, most of our students do have work experience, so mid-career professionals, but we also accept young graduates. Of course, you should have obtained your degree before you start the study, before also the financial confirmation deadline. But you can also apply as a young graduate, and often students have also done some work during their studies or some other activities related to the program. Then it's good to stress that also in the application form. You can mention that in the CV.
Okay, thanks very much. And maybe, Laszlo, a question for you. Could you maybe talk a little bit more about the tracks and profiles? Because I do see a lot of people are a little bit confused about that.
Okay, let me see. I'm trying to find the slide. Yes, okay. Can you show the slide? What is there? So these are the so-called thematic tracks: water, food and energy, water hazards, risk and climate, water and health, and water resources and ecosystem health. So these are the 4 tracks. Well, you see that this is thematically defining already some kind of a direction. But if we go to the next slide, you see that in each of those tracks, there are several profiles, and I would say that it's even better if we go to this one where the profiles are shown. So these are disciplinary profiles. Some tracks have only engineering mentioned, some others where there are more links to hydrology than it is engineering and hydrology, governance and management, environment, sanitation, and digital innovation. And I would add that there are tracks where it is called digital innovation and hydroinformatics. So that shows that what can be the content, but you can also find, by the way, all these on the website, but you see that there are different modules linked to the tracks. However, as it was also shown by Professor Graham Jewett in the video, I would say that there are possibilities that within one track to choose the different modules. And this is just an example to be shown here that, well, a certain kind of water and health module setup or a student trajectory is shown here. But as it was also mentioned, that there is an opportunity to choose modules from the different tracks, not only from the profiles, but also from different tracks. So what you see here is another example which is choosing some modules from the water, food and energy, and from the water resources and ecosystem health, depending on the background. And well, just joining to the previous question, that the work experience is not really needed. But it can be also the case that based on the work experience, somebody is already interested in different things from the different thematic tracks and the different disciplinary profiles. So that's why we show also this example. And these are exactly the things what we also discussed before, to be developed together with the coaches who are, well, familiar with the entire program. More details are known by them, knowing also your potential ideas about your future career and so on. So if there is a very good personal relationship formulated between the coach and the student, then it will be quite a fruitful work.
Okay, thanks. And maybe could you name, say, one or two examples maybe of different kinds of backgrounds, and then what would likely be a path of application for which tracks to apply for? I know it's on a case-by-case basis, but for example, with a BSc in chemistry, what would be likely?
Yeah, I have seen also in the chat that there was a question with
Yes, exactly. I don't make up these things myself, indeed.
Of course, in the sanitary field, I would say that it has quite some role. So here we see again the profiles. So in sanitation, I really see the opportunity for that. However, also in the environment, there can be also some links to that. So that there is opportunities for that. Well, another thing which is quite new on our website, by the way, I have to call your attention. If you have visited our website a long time ago, then maybe you have not seen that there are also keywords added to the different tracks and profiles. So for instance, well, just to go back to my own field, if somebody is interested in irrigation engineering, you also find, of course, in the engineering area, you can find your interesting modules, but also since irrigation engineering is also related on the management side, so irrigation management is an important issue in there, then some modules from governance and management can be also chosen, and so on. Well, of course, if somebody is interested in environmental impact assessments of different engineering activities, which are, well, almost every country, those are obligatory things what you have to do, then certainly a good mixture of environment and engineering, or engineering and hydrology, can be also a good idea. Now, just to mention a few examples, and also governance and management is also an important role, and nowadays getting even more important, how to manage our engineering systems which are already existing. So that those are all interesting elements. Certainly those who are interested in water supply or in other parts of hydraulic engineering, they can also find in the water and health areas, and in the engineering profile of that one, interesting things towards water supply. On the other hand, flood management can be also mentioned. Well, I can list for quite a long time, but it seems that, well, maybe there are other questions coming up.
Yeah, but there's indeed a lot of different possibilities with this setup, with different backgrounds that can join IHE's program and then build their own sort of path throughout the education. I have quite a straightforward question maybe for Ineke. Is there an age limitation for our master program?
No, there is not. No, everybody can apply, but certain scholarship programs may have an age limit. So,
okay. I thought the straightforward question with a very straightforward answer. And also related to scholarships then, also for you, Ineke, somebody applied to one of the programs, but probably not a program, probably a track they mean. But the scholarship doesn't cover this and I want to change to another program that the scholarship covers. Is it allowed to do that? So can a person, once they apply, change their application?
Yeah, they best is then that they send an email to Marlies. I think that they received an admission letter from Mrs. Marlies Baburek. So they can write an email to her, and then it needs to be checked, of course, if the background is suitable. It's still, of course, applicants indicate their preferred track and profile, but after the meeting with the coach, it can still be changed. But indeed, for certain scholarships, they are only available for certain tracks and profiles. So then you can understand. But of course, if your background is not in this field of that track and profile, the applicant may have to think if they really want to go for that, because there may be better opportunities for other scholarships in which they are more interested in that other track and profile. So don't just change to the track and profile for which there is just one scholarship available if your background is not much in line with that track and profile.
Okay, that does clear things up, I think. I have a question that I'm not sure who it's for. I think it might be for Laszlo, but no, that's not the one I wanted to show. This one is the ECTS for this master program are lower than is required for a PhD entry. So then is it advisable that students wait for the research master to start? I think, Laszlo, this might be for you.
Well, unfortunately, we do not start the research master. So under the water and sustainable development master programs, we are going to have this 1 year more practical master. And that's what we are talking about now, starting in 2022. But the research master will start later. So it is planned for 2023 to start. The research master will be 2 years long. And indeed, that's the aim, basically, that those who are more interested in going on with PhD research afterwards, or would like to choose more an academic track in their life or trajectory in their life, they supposed to enter the 2-year master program. So if you are going to apply for a PhD somewhere where they are checking and requiring a certain number of European credits, then I would suggest that you can wait for the research master, which is starting in 2023.
Okay, thanks. I hope that clears it up. Another practical question, I think also again for you, Ineke. Can a national ID suffice for scholarship application, or is it a must to have a passport?
It can suffice for application at IHE, so for application for admission, and for a scholarship. I know for the Orange Knowledge Program, a passport is required, and for other scholarships, I just don't know. You just have to check on the website, but do apply for admission with your ID.
Okay. Thank you. And maybe this is also quite a straightforward question for you, Laszlo. Could you talk about the approximate staff to student ratio at IHE? So how many lecturing staff do we have with about how many MSc students?
Well, I've seen this question in the chat, and to be honest, I was a little bit confused about the last part of the question, that of the classes.
I think let's just take it as the whole program and all of the students and all of the teaching staff.
Well, at IHE, we also have PhD students. So the master students and the PhD students. And we have, full-time and part-time staff also at IHE. And as it was mentioned also in your discussion with Charlotte, that we have a lot of guest lecturers as well working in our programs who are also experts from their own specific fields from all around the world. So looking at the number of staff, I'm just working from my memory, so I'm not 100% sure that it will be very exact, but I think our staff is around 170 persons, something like that. But not all. This includes perhaps also the academic staff and the support staff as well. The academic staff, I would guess it can be around 120 or something like that, also including the part-time lecturers as well. And the student number is around 200 when it goes up to the top, including the joint programs as well in the master level. Of course, plus we have the PhD students as well, which is, I have to mention that quite uniquely high in the field of water. So if we look at even big universities all around the world, and if you concentrate on water-related PhD students, IHE is also quite high in that number.
And I would,
that means something. But if it is related to the classroom, of course, it depends from module to module and how the modules are elected. But I would say that there are some modules and some parts of the master programs where there are bigger groups. So let's say 50, 60 students in one lecture room. But most probably these modules, what we have now, not talking about the common modules at the beginning and at the end of the program, but the specific ones, the profile modules, those will run around 15, 25 students, something like that in one group. I mean.
Yeah, and I have to mention that working in communications, what I hear from students very often is that the quite high ratio of lecturers to students at the institute, that's something very special because it's very easy to connect with lecturers and professors, and we're quite a small scale institute in that sense, that personal contact is really one of our unique kind of points.
And I can strengthen that even during the COVID times now, this was going quite easily because we were all available online. Skype meetings were done also when we had to stay at home and when the lecturers were also working in home office. Plus, there is another important thing is that interdisciplinarity of also the staff. So from all different aspects of water you can find. And then it means that not only your lecturer from the classroom, but all other lecturers from different fields can be easily reached in IHE. So that's indeed what I can also say as the students also were referring to that to you, Laura.
Yeah. So I have quite a few questions in the chat about specific backgrounds and whether people can or cannot apply. Maybe I can just, because we are almost at the end of our hour, maybe I can just quickly run through them. Oh, or we could just show them. We could do that as well. Well, this is about the English exam. So, but it also asks if they're eligible to apply with a Bachelor of Science in Irrigation and Drainage with an upper class from University of Rwanda. Maybe for you, Ineke.
Yes, that you can surely apply because that seems to be a suitable background. But for Rwanda, we do require English test. If you are employed, then and you can arrange your employer statement, I surely advise you to apply for the OKP scholarship. But you need to do the English test. So it's important. We need to have the results before the 15th of March. So if you meet all the other requirements, then advise you to register as soon as possible to do the English test and then apply for OKP scholarship. There are quite some good possibilities. Once you have passed the English test, you have a suitable background, then there are quite some good possibilities to get a scholarship. It's something you have to invest in it, and we understand it's very expensive for students from developing countries. So if you're not yet sure if you will be awarded the scholarship, that's we understand it, but we need to have this requirement. So.
Okay. Then maybe one for Laszlo. Which track and profile would you advise a geologist interested in groundwater to pursue?
Yeah, that's also an interesting question. And I started to look at my list of the modules when I saw that in the chat as well. And I'm glad that you picked that one. So I would say that the water resources and ecosystem health track with the profile of engineering and hydrology, that has several modules. Just to mention a few: surface water and groundwater flow dynamics, because it was also mentioned that special interest in groundwater, hydrochemistry and hydrological tracers. That is also quite something in the field of groundwater modeling. But the next module is actually indeed groundwater modeling. So there are several things related to that, related to hydrology. Of course, well, those are also linked to ecosystems somehow. So there can be also some other environmental profile modules also be chosen together with that. So it can be a nice, interesting program.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks a lot. And then maybe another one. This one, Bachelor of Engineering. Somebody has that in mechanical engineering. Are they qualified for the program, considering that their interest is in engineering and hydrology? I think this one is quite straightforward. I think maybe even I could answer.
And it's a little bit difficult to answer because mechanical engineering has a different focus. And also in just to go back, referring back to my own field, several times mechanical engineers who have studied agricultural machinery, those are not very much linked to water. So then we had these kind of applications before. And I would say that when it is about mechanical engineering, especially it will be discussed or checked in the application material how much link is there towards water. Now, for instance, this is something which can be interesting to have some practical experience. So if there is a mechanical engineer working in the field of water engineering or water management or something like that, then the practical experience can, I would say, correct the study background somehow towards our direction. But it's difficult to answer this question now. It would be better to see the full application material, or at least the transcript and the background of the particle applicant.
Okay, thanks, Laszlo. And I think we are running out of time, but I do think we can maybe go overboard a few more minutes because I have 3 very practical questions. I think these are for Enoch and 2 are quite similar. One of them is this one. The OKP scholarship deadline is 22 March and requires a LOA.
Letter of admission.
Yes, exactly. That's what I thought. But the admission deadline is 1 July. Will IHE issue the letter of admission sooner than the IHE admission deadline?
Yeah, that is a question we often have. It seems to be confusing. The deadline of application in general is the 1st of July, but deadlines for scholarships may be earlier. So this is the deadline if someone can pay by himself or the employer, then someone can apply until the 1st of July. But you always, if you depend on a scholarship, you always have to check the scholarship deadlines. So if you want to apply for the OKP, you have to apply in time before the 15th of March. That's why we mentioned the 15th of March, because then we receive your application in time and you can still apply for the OKP scholarships. And it's advisable to apply as soon as possible, just to have enough time. And if something is wrong with your application, we may still ask you to give some additional information.
Okay, and then another practical question. Somebody has received a letter of application this year or admission this year, but not gotten a scholarship. Is it possible to use the application for next year's application?
No, we need to apply again for the new year, and it will be considered again.
Okay. So that's, and our final question is quite a long one. Somebody got a conditional admission for the MSc Water Management and Governance. Are we opening it again this year?
No, because now we have changed the old programs, but you can find back many things of the Water Management and Governance program in the new master program. So you just have to read carefully the website and the information on the tracks and profiles, and you'll find a track and profile of your interest, which can be compared to the water management and governance program.
Okay, I think we have gotten through, well, we haven't gotten through all of the questions because there's a lot of questions out there, but we have gotten through a lot. And I think my colleague Ewout will still go through the questions that are still being asked and either update our frequently asked questions on the website or answer them directly. So thank you, Laszlo and Ineke, for joining me here. I hope I will see you tomorrow afternoon for another session for the other time zone. And have a good day.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. So thank you, viewers, for watching this webinar. Please do apply if you are interested in the master program, and don't worry too much about if you get the perfect application in the sense of tracks, because they will still be able to be changed when you actually apply and when you talk, when you're guided through the application of your final education. So thanks very much for watching, and thank you to all my colleagues who participated, and I hope to see you at IHE next year. Bye-bye.